pre-game brawl. As you know, there's been gamesmanship. Net at the end of warm-up. You know, the Flyers have retaliated by keeping Eddie Hospodar and Chico Resch on the ice. The Canadians appeared to acquiesce to that. As Lemieux skated off, the Canadians emptied the ice, and so did goaltender, along with the Flyers, Hospodar and Resch, and then all hell exploded. Bobby Taylor.
It appeared that they were just waiting for the Flyers to get off the ice, and then after they were making the move, they were very slow. They were coming back on the ice. Hospodar came back out. Shane Corson and Claude Lemieux of the Canadians, Hospodar and Chico Resch of the Flyers, and then they started. Hospodar threw the gloves and started pounding on Claude Lemieux. Now, we were informed by the Canadian radio crew that is sitting right next to us that Lemieux supposedly had speared Hospodar, which started this fight.
Now we just have 4 players on the ice. Resch and Hospodar and Corson and Lemieux. And then as the word gets to the dressing rooms.
Korduck had come out. He didn't go anywhere. He stopped and he was waiting to see what was going to happen.
He was tying his skates.
Well, he was pretending. And then Patrick Waugh came out. And then, as you see, it was Brad McCrimmon, Brad Marsh, Samuelson. Everybody came out. Then Nilan. And everybody on the teams except the starting goaltender, Brian Hayward of the Canadians and Ron Hextall of the Flyers.
Lemieux now without a jersey, and it seemed to be settling, but then other Flyers and other Canadians came out, some in partial uniform.
And of course, jawing and threats were made back and forth, and that's the thing.
Remember, this is at the conclusion of the warm-up.
And it is something that it's not right. You know, there's a lot of things that the Flyers have said that they've been done, and they've in the past and even up until the future, the present rather. But
then Dave Brown minus his shirt, and Darryl Stanley comes on, and Brown immediately challenges Chris Nilan.
And they're just backing up. It was a big shadow boxing display. But the thing is that then Chelios got in there to grab a hold of Brown.
Now everybody, as they might normally in an on-ice during the game fight, start to pair off.
But it was a slow starting. As we said, it started earlier with just 4 people. Resch and Hospodar of the Flyers, Corson and Claude Lemieux of the Montreal Canadiens. Then everybody got into it.
Then it explodes again as Lemieux goes at it with Philadelphia's Hospodar, Dave Brown in there.
What happened at that time there is when players were held up. Nilan took a shot at Brown when he was being held by a player.
Poland comes out dressed, Brian Propp with just his gray warm-up undershirt.
It went on for about 10 minutes, and it's not a pretty sight at all. In fact, it's something that both Gene and I were really upset over, and I especially. I know that you, as a player, you're really strung tight before an important game, and your nerves are on edge, but you usually wait for the game. You take it out on the ice, and you do it on the ice, not in the pregame skate or before it.
And eventually, the 3 officials, Wayne Bonney, Bob Hodges, and Andy Van Hellemond, had to come to the rescue and point to either side and clear the ice, then got their impressions of what happened from both sides. And Bobby, we are certainly unknowing of the rules to determine whether or not the officials can call penalties or game misconducts for actions that occurred 15 minutes before the game was supposed to start. But we think there might be, and we might have that story for you, and we will. As we have this delay, this all took about 15 minutes and slowed down the resurfacing of the ice. But obviously Van Hellemond, Jim Gregory, the league supervisor, may be in contact with league president John Ziegler to say, what do we do about this? And when they come to an answer, when we come to the start of the game, we'll give you all of that information. You're watching a replay, and they went at it again. Lemieux, this time Dave Brown with Chris Nilan. And this all began at the end of the warm-up. After all had cleared the ice, Lemieux tried to sneak back on to do that little gamesmanship to shoot it in the Flyer net. He came on with Corson, the Flyers with Resch and Hospodar, and what was to be a little gamesmanship and fun turned into an ugly 15-minute scene, unlike anything that the veterans here at the Forum can recall. Something I've never seen, even my Eastern League days. And Bobby, in your 17 years, you say this is a new thing.
I've never seen it happen in pro hockey, Gene. And as I said, you know, they've accused the so-called Broad Street bullies for doing a lot of things and ruining the sport, but this is something we never did.
The prelude to this, of course, if you recall, came in Hershey, in the series between Hershey and Rochester, not in Hershey, where 9-game suspensions were handed out before the game itself had started. So that's